Imagine walking into a room full of people who doubt you before you even step on the mat. A place where strength, skill, and experience are everything, and you're just a simple woman trying to find your footing. That was the reality for Maria, a quiet, unassuming woman who decided to join a local jiu-jitsu class. Little did anyone expect, this ordinary woman would soon shock the entire gym and everyone watching, including a seasoned black belt, with a move so quick and flawless it left the room in stunned silence. From the moment Maria stepped inside, the atmosphere was thick with skepticism. The other students glanced her way with barely concealed smirks, whispering doubts about what a woman with no prior martial arts experience could possibly bring to the class. The black belts, respected for their years of training and hard-earned respect, barely gave her a second look. Maria wasn't the typical fighter they were used to. She didn't look intimidating, didn't talk much, and certainly didn't carry the confidence of a seasoned athlete. The instructor, patient but realistic, welcomed her but didn't hide his surprise when she struggled through the warm-ups. It was clear she was new to this world of grappling, submissions, and close combat. The other students thought she was an easy target, someone they could dismiss quickly, a beginner who might just waste their time. But Maria had something else on her mind, something stronger than the doubts and sneers surrounding her. Training sessions went by with Maria quietly absorbing every detail, watching, learning, and practicing with a quiet determination that no one could see but herself. She wasn't there to impress or prove anyone wrong. She was there for herself, to learn, to grow, and to challenge the limits she'd always set on herself. Still, the ridicule didn't stop. More experienced students teased her, whispered behind her back, and openly doubted her ability to even survive a single round. Then came the day that would change everything. The gym was buzzing with excitement. A friendly sparring session was announced, pitting beginners against advanced students. Maria was paired against one of the most respected black belts in the gym, a man known for his speed, technique, and unshakable confidence. Everyone expected it to be over quickly. The crowd braced for a quick submission or a tap out from Maria, ready to dismiss her efforts as just a beginner's misstep. What happened next was something no one saw coming. In just 14 seconds, Maria executed a submission that left the black belt tapping out in disbelief. The gym fell silent, eyes wide, breaths caught. How could this simple woman, ridiculed and doubted, achieve what the best struggled to do? What was the secret behind that lightning-fast move? The story of Maria is more than just about jiu-jitsu. It's about perseverance, hidden strength, and breaking the boundaries that others set for us. It's about the moment when underestimation turns into respect, and when doubt gives way to undeniable skill. But the real question remains, how did Maria learn that submission? And what happened after that incredible moment in the gym? Stay tuned, because the journey has only just begun. What most people didn't know was that Maria's journey to that moment had been anything but simple. Outside the gym, she led a quiet life, working a regular job, taking care of her family, and keeping to herself. Martial arts had never been a part of her world growing up. She wasn't raised around sports or fighting, in fact, she had avoided anything remotely physical for years. But something inside her had been restless. A feeling that she was capable of more, stronger than what her everyday life showed. Maria's decision to try jiu-jitsu came from a place of curiosity and a deep need to challenge herself. She'd heard stories about how the martial art wasn't about brute strength but technique, patience, and strategy. For someone like her, who didn't have the muscle or speed of others, this seemed like the perfect fit. She believed it could give her more confidence, a new sense of purpose, and maybe even a way to defend herself if needed. At first, the transition was rough. The moves felt foreign, the grappling confusing, and the pace intimidating. Her body was sore every day, and the mental challenge of staying calm under pressure was unlike anything she had faced before. The other students, with their years of experience and quick reflexes, moved like second nature on the mats. Maria felt like a fish out of water, struggling to keep up and wondering if she had made a mistake. Still, she kept coming back. Each session, she stayed a little longer, asked more questions, and watched every demonstration closely. Her instructor noticed the quiet determination in her eyes, even if she didn't say much. Slowly, Maria began to grasp the fundamentals, the way leverage mattered more than strength, how timing could turn a losing position into a winning one, and the subtle art of anticipating an opponent's move. But outside the mat, the skepticism never faded. The whispers from classmates, the occasional snide comments, and the doubts from some instructors could have crushed her spirit. Many would have given up. Yet, Maria found a strange motivation in those doubts. They fueled the quiet fire inside her, pushing her to train harder in secret. After class, she practiced drills, studied technique videos, and reflected on what she could improve. Her family didn't fully understand this new obsession either. Some worried it was a waste of time, while others feared she was getting hurt. Maria kept those worries to herself. She knew this was her path, even if it was difficult and lonely at times. She wasn't in the gym to prove the naysayers wrong, she was there to discover what she was truly capable of. What no one saw was the small circle of close friends she confided in, people who believed in her and encouraged her progress. They shared stories of setbacks and triumphs, helping her stay focused. Maria's confidence was growing, but it was still fragile. Every success on the mat was a step forward, but the fear of failure lingered like a shadow. When the day of the sparring session arrived, the air in the gym was thick with anticipation. Maria felt a mix of excitement and nerves unlike any she had experienced before. The black belt across from her wasn't just any opponent, he was a symbol of everything she had doubted she could face. He was quick, experienced, and confident. The crowd's low murmurs reflected their certainty that this would be a quick match. As the two stepped onto the mat, Maria's heart pounded. She focused on her breathing, the lessons learned, and the silent promise she made to herself to give it everything. The seconds that followed would test everything she had worked for, and set the stage for a moment that would leave everyone questioning what they thought they knew about strength, skill, and the underestimated power of a simple woman. But how did she pull off that incredible submission in just 14 seconds? What was the technique she used, and what was going through her mind in those intense moments? The answers lie deeper in her story, one filled with unexpected twists, hidden struggles, and a strength that surprises even those who know her best. The journey has only just begun. After that surprising moment on the mat, the atmosphere in the gym changed, but not entirely for the better. While some eyes were filled with newfound respect, others hid a stubborn disbelief. Maria's victory stirred something deeper than just admiration, it challenged the unspoken rules and expectations held tightly by many in the Jiu-Jitsu community. To some, her quick submission of a black belt felt like an upset that shouldn't have happened, and that discomfort began to ripple beneath the surface. The black belt she defeated, Lucas, was a well-known figure in the gym. Confident, skilled, and admired by many, he had built his reputation on years of relentless training and competition. To lose so swiftly to someone many considered a novice was not just unexpected, it was a blow to his pride. The loss forced Lucas to confront questions about his own skills, the assumptions he'd made about Maria, and his role in the hierarchy of the gym. Yet, he was a fighter in more ways than one. How he responded to this humbling moment would become a story on its own. Meanwhile, Maria found herself caught between two worlds. On one hand, she was buoyed by the support from a handful of classmates who saw her potential and cheered her progress. On the other, she faced lingering doubts and even quiet resentment from some who still saw her as an outsider. Whispers circulated. How had she learned that move so fast? Was it luck? Or was there something else behind her sudden skill? The tension wasn't just about her abilities, but what she represented, someone breaking the mold and shaking the balance. This conflict extended beyond the gym walls. Maria's personal life began to feel the strain. Some family members were proud but cautious, worried the intensity of training might consume her or lead to injury. Friends asked if this new passion was really worth the trouble, especially as Maria started spending more time away from social events and familiar routines. The balancing act between her quiet life and the demanding world of martial arts was growing harder to maintain. Doubts crept in during late nights when she questioned whether she could keep going, whether she truly belonged in this world. The instructor, Carlos, watched all of this unfold with a complex mix of pride and concern. He recognized Maria's talent and determination, but he also saw how the dynamics in the gym were shifting. He knew that true growth came not just from technique, but from facing adversity, both on and off the mat. How he would guide Maria through the choppy waters of acceptance, rivalry, and self-discovery was still uncertain. Then there were the other students, each with their own stories and struggles. Some wrestled with jealousy, others with their own doubts about progress. The friendly sparring match had unexpectedly sparked a quiet competition among classmates. Would Maria's rapid rise push others to train harder, or would it create divisions? The gym was no longer just a place for learning moves, it was a microcosm of ambition, fear, and transformation. Through all this, Maria remained focused but cautious. She understood that winning one match didn't erase the hard work ahead. The submission move that stunned everyone was a piece of a larger puzzle she was still trying to solve. What she didn't yet know was how much the journey ahead would test her resolve, force her to face internal battles, and reveal secrets that even she hadn't expected. The tension was mounting. Would Maria prove herself beyond a single moment of brilliance? Could Lucas rise from defeat and regain his place? Would the gym come together or fracture under the pressure? And perhaps most importantly, what hidden strengths, and vulnerabilities, would Maria discover within herself as the stakes grew higher? The answers to these questions were still out of reach, but the story was far from over. Every training session, every challenge, and every decision would shape what came next, and no one could predict the outcome yet. Days turned into weeks, and the energy in the gym was electric, charged with anticipation and unspoken challenges. Maria's quick submission had become the talk of every training session, whispered in corners and debated between sets. For her, the weight of expectations was growing heavier with each passing day. She wasn't just training to improve anymore, she was carrying the hopes and doubts of everyone around her. The simple woman who had once been overlooked was now the center of attention, and with that spotlight came pressure she hadn't prepared for. Lucas, the black belt she had defeated, wasn't one to accept defeat quietly. Behind the scenes, he trained harder than ever, pushing his limits to reclaim his honor. His usual confident demeanor was tempered by frustration and self-doubt. He began watching Maria more closely, not with the dismissive eye of before, but with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Yet, pride kept him from admitting it openly. Every time their eyes met during practice, there was an unspoken tension, a challenge simmering beneath the surface. Both knew a rematch was inevitable, but when and how it would happen remained uncertain. Maria's own journey was a whirlwind of emotions. She was exhilarated by her progress, but also overwhelmed. The ridicule she once faced had morphed into something more complex, expectations she wasn't sure she could meet. Training sessions became battles of mental strength as much as physical skill. Each technique she learned felt like a key unlocking a door, but the door led to more questions than answers. Was she truly ready to face the top fighters? Could she keep up the pace without losing herself in the process? Meanwhile, the gym itself felt like it was on edge. Fellow students split between admiration and skepticism. Some quietly rooted for Maria, eager to see a fresh face break through. Others, wary of change, held back, their gazes sharp and competitive. Carlos, the instructor, sensed the growing divide. He worked to keep the atmosphere focused on growth and respect, but the undercurrent of rivalry was hard to contain. Every class had moments where the air thickened with unspoken challenges and silent tests of will. Outside the gym, Maria's life reflected the intensity inside. Her family grew concerned as she poured more hours into training, pushing through exhaustion and soreness. Friends who once supported her began to ask if it was worth it, if the pursuit of a martial arts dream was pulling her away from what really mattered. Maria struggled to balance these voices with her own drive, feeling torn between her quiet life and the fiery passion that had taken hold. Then came the day everyone had been waiting for. A special event was announced, an open sparring challenge pitting Maria against Lucas. The gym buzzed with anticipation, members eager to witness the clash of skill and spirit that had been building for weeks. Maria felt the tension coil inside her like a spring ready to snap. She knew this wasn't just about winning or losing, it was about proving who she was beneath the doubts, the whispers, and the shadows of the past. The hours leading up to the match were filled with restless energy. Maria went through her routine, calming her mind and focusing on what she had learned. Lucas prepared too, his movements sharp, eyes locked with determination. The gym fell silent as they stepped onto the mat, the crowd holding its breath. In that charged moment, time seemed to slow. Every heartbeat, every breath, every muscle poised for action. The question hung in the air, who would emerge victorious? Would Maria's unexpected rise continue, or would Lucas reclaim his place as the undisputed black belt? The answer was just out of reach, waiting in the tension-filled seconds before the first move. What happened next would not only test their skills but reveal truths neither could have predicted. The climax was about to unfold, and no one could guess where it would lead. Just as the match began and both fighters locked eyes, a sudden shift rippled through the gym. What no one expected was how quickly the balance of power would change, not because of skill alone, but because of a hidden factor no one had seen coming. As Maria moved to execute a familiar technique, Lucas resisted with a strength and agility that surprised even himself. But then, something unusual happened. Maria hesitated. That hesitation wasn't from fear or doubt, but from a sharp, unexpected pain shooting through her shoulder. A muscle strain she hadn't fully noticed during training had suddenly flared up, threatening to throw off her entire focus. The crowd gasped as Maria's movement faltered, and whispers spread like wildfire. Could she really continue under this new pressure? Would this injury cost her everything she had worked so hard to build? At the same time, Lucas sensed the shift. His competitive spirit ignited, but so did a flicker of concern. He could see the strain in Maria's eyes, the way she clenched her jaw to push through the discomfort. The black belt was faced with a choice, to take full advantage of her weakness or to show the respect that martial arts demanded. The tension between rivalry and respect added a new layer to the battle, raising the stakes beyond a simple contest of skill. Meanwhile, in the crowd, supporters of both fighters held their breath. Some urged Maria silently to fight through the pain, others wondered if this unexpected twist would break her. The gym, once filled with quiet anticipation, now buzzed with a mix of hope, doubt, and raw emotion. Every second stretched longer as Maria's internal struggle became as fierce as the match itself. Behind the scenes, Carlos, the instructor, noticed the change immediately. He knew how dangerous it could be to push through injury, but he also understood the fire driving Maria forward. The moment became a test not just of technique, but of resilience and heart. Would Maria find a way to adapt and overcome, or would the injury mark the end of her rapid rise? This new conflict wasn't just physical, it was deeply personal. Maria's journey had always been about proving herself, not to others but to herself. Now, with pain clouding her movements and the world watching, that challenge became even greater. Lucas's respect for her grew, but so did his determination to win fairly. As the seconds ticked by, the gym held its collective breath. The fight had transformed into something more than just a match, it was a battle of wills, a story of grit and honor unfolding in real time. Neither fighter could predict what the next move would bring, and the suspense hung thick in the air, drawing everyone closer to the edge of their seats. What happened next would change everything. Maria's hidden strength, Lucas's unexpected compassion, and the unfolding drama of that moment were all intertwined, building toward a climax no one could yet imagine. The story was far from over, and the biggest surprises were still to come. As the pain in Maria's shoulder pulsed sharply, she took a deep breath, steadying herself. Every muscle screamed, but her mind sharpened. Instead of forcing strength where it wasn't there, she relied on what Jiu-Jitsu had taught her all along: technique over power, patience over aggression. In that moment, she saw an opening, a brief window where Lucas's own weight shifted just slightly off balance. With careful precision, Maria moved quickly, her body flowing through the motion she had practiced countless times in secret. Despite the injury, she executed the submission flawlessly, catching Lucas off guard. His eyes widened in surprise as he tapped out, signaling the end of the match. 14 seconds had passed once again, but this time, every second carried the weight of a hard-fought battle against pain, pride, and doubt. The gym erupted, not with disbelief this time, but with cheers and applause that filled every corner of the room. Maria's teammates rushed to her side, not just celebrating her victory but honoring the courage it took to win under such difficult circumstances. Lucas approached her with a nod of respect, extending his hand in a gesture that spoke louder than words. He acknowledged not only her skill but the heart that had brought her this far. Carlos smiled quietly from the sidelines, proud that his student had shown resilience beyond technique. The crowd's whispers shifted into conversations about what they had witnessed. A woman who had transformed skepticism into respect, pain into triumph, and doubt into undeniable strength.